I have some major breaking election news. The dean of politics in Nevada, John Ralston, who has predicted correctly, every single presidential winner of the state for decades, has come out with his prediction for Nevada. I'm going to bring that to you in just a moment. There's more breaking news. Donald Trump, it is a day before the election. This is when the enthusiasm is the highest. I don't know how you're feeling. I'm feeling pumped. I am feeling pumped. We are about to elect the next president of the United States, and it's going to be Kamala Harris, the first female president of the United States. Donald Trump supporters, where are they? Because he held a rally at North Carolina earlier today, the day before the election. Look at, they wanted people to be there. No one's there. Look at this. It's just, that was yesterday, and this is today. Completely empty. You don't have to listen to me talk about it. Here's MSNBC.
Quickly show you here. We're in North Carolina. This is going to be his first stop. He's making 2 stops in Pennsylvania, Reading, and then Pittsburgh before finishing the night, as he did in 2016 and 2020 in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And I want to show you guys real fast what this crowd looks like, because Donald Trump was scheduled to take the stage at 10 a.m., and our Tony Butler is going to show you what this crowd currently looks like. We're looking at about a capacity, about 70% full here. And for 9 years, I'm going to have Tony pan to the right. For 9 years, we have talked about the enthusiasm and the masses that have come out for Trump's rallies time and again, even at his politically lowest points, including in 2022. But interestingly, and I can't tell you exactly why, but in this final week, we have seen far smaller crowds. We were in Greensboro, North Carolina, where just a few thousand people. Macon, Georgia, just a few thousand people yesterday. What does that mean? Ultimately, you can only discern so much from what crowd sizes look like. But interestingly, for the first time since I've been covering Donald Trump since 2015, there's been us in the press that have been looking around questioning why the crowd sizes have been less than what we are accustomed to. There are some people that have suggested that a great many folks have already early voted, so they feel like they've done their thing. They don't got to come out. Others have said, look, he's been to North Carolina so many times. It's essentially saturated at this point, but at this point in time, it's hard not to take any little clue that there is from early voting locations to the rallies where we're accustomed to seeing him draw thousands of people. Today, that's not so much the case. We'll see what the next 3 rallies look like, though, guys.
7,600 people was the capacity of that space. You could not fill 7,600 people. We are witnessing, I believe, the death of MAGA in real time. I'm going to tell you a quick story, and then we're going to get to this Nevada prediction. But I worked on the Bloomberg campaign in 2020, and I remember there's this feeling of momentum when you're on a campaign, okay? And leading up to the first debate, now you might not remember this, but Bloomberg actually had to get permission to get on the debate because you had to have a certain number of donors, and Bloomberg famously was his only donor. He only had 1 donor. So they changed the rules to get him on. He got on the debate, and you also remember the moment that Senator Elizabeth Warren took him out with 3 words, horse-faced lesbian. And I am telling you, up until that moment, every event we had was getting larger and larger and larger. And then after that moment, it was harder and harder to fill events. You can feel a before and after when you lose momentum and when a campaign is dying. That is what's happening. This is a dying campaign. It's a dying campaign. I don't know why the news isn't saying that, but that's exactly what we're witnessing. A dying campaign, a dying movement. Thank God. Thank God. And that goes right well into what I'm going to say next. Here is Nevada. Of course, I'm sure you know what's going to happen if I'm excited about what he's about to say, but let's just get right into it. All right. I have been calling this the unicorn election because of the unusual voting patterns. It's really hard to know what will happen with mail ballots and election turnout with so many Republicans voting early. But here's what I do know. Both sides, at least people who understand the data on both sides, believe this will be close. That's because if past is prologue, in the mail ballot era, last 2 cycles, tens of thousands of mail ballots will come in between now and Friday, the deadline. It's a simple question. Can the Democrats catch up? Right now, they're a little bit below Republicans. It's really a coin flip. And I know people on both sides who have analyzed the data who can't decide. I've gone back and forth in my own head for days, my eyes glazing over the numbers and models and extrapolations. The key to this election has always been which way the non-major party voters break, because they have become the plurality in the state. They are going to make up 30% or so of the electorate, and if they swing enough towards Harris, she will win Nevada. I think they will, and I'll tell you why. Many people assume that with GOP catching up to the Democrats in voter registration, that the automatic voter registration plan pushed by Democrats that auto-registers people as nonpartisans unless they choose a party at the DMV had been a failure for the party, but I don't think so. There are a lot of nonpartisans who are closet Democrats who are purposely registered by Democrat-aligned groups as nonpartisans. Very smart. The machine knows who they are and will get them to vote. It will be just enough to overcome the Republican lead, along with women motivated by abortion and crossover votes that issue also will cause. I know some may think this reflects my well-known disdain for Trump. Heart over data. That is not so. I have often predicted against my own preferences. History does not lie. I just have a feeling she will catch up here, but I also believe, and please remember this, it will not be clear who won on election night here. So block out the nattering nabobs of election denialism. It's going to be very close. Prediction. Harris, 48.5%. Trump, 48.2%. So he is predicting that Kamala Harris, he has predicted, I'm going to repeat it again. John Ralston has predicted every correct presidential winner of his state for decades. And he is saying Kamala Harris is going to carry the state. Now, he could be wrong for the first time ever in his career. I don't think so. I think he knows what he's talking about. This, plus those Iowa polls and the crowds, it's all kind of like I said before on a previous video, everything's kind of blurry right now. We have blurry data. But I do think that things are starting to come in focus. And I really do believe Wednesday morning, Thursday morning, Wednesday evening, when the polls close and the votes are beginning to get counted and we start to see everything start to settle, we will look back at moments like this. We will look back at crowd sizes. We'll look back at the enthusiasm in Kamala Harris's crowds. The pundits are going to say, how did we miss it? How did we miss it? Well, I'm sitting here to tell you right now, we didn't miss it. We saw it all along. We knew that this was happening. We knew the polls were off, and we knew that Kamala Harris is on her way to becoming the first female president of the United States. And it's just hours away from happening. So if you have not voted, please just go vote. And if you have voted, text 4 people and make sure they voted. And if you've done that, then text 4 more people. I don't know what to tell you. Just make sure you got the vote, because this is super exciting. And I am just anxiously optimistic that we could actually pull this thing off.
I don't know what's wrong with you young people. You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?